Hello and welcome to this video where we're now going to be taking a look at how we can modify our objects. In the past we have looked at how we can select, scale and rotate our objects. However, there's going to be a point where we want to be able to manipulate our geometry a little bit further, and so in this video we're going to be doing that. However, there's going to be a few different things that needs to be shown here, so the video may run a little long. So the first thing we need to do is to convert these to an editable poly. Now, what that allows us to do is it'll allow us to access the vertex, edges, and the polygons of the actual geometry itself. So I'm going to key select all these pieces of geometry here because I want to be able to manipulate all of them. I'm going to right click, go down to convert to, and you can see that we have a bunch of different options in which we can convert to. Now, the one we are interested in is this convert to editable polygon. Now, what I'm also going to do is you can see that there's this grid that is just a little bit distracting. So I'm going to press the G key, which will remove that grid. So selecting one of these pieces, you can see that over here on the right hand side, we now have a different editable or a different panel here. And this is where we're going to be doing most of our modifications. So here you can see it says Editable Poly. With this selected, if we press this little black drop down, we can look at the different sub-selection modes here, and those are also represented on top of this actual main bar here. So if we select vertex, edges, border, polygons, and elements, you can see that it sort of skips through on the top here too. So I'm just going to collapse this, and we're going to look at the different modes. So each one of these modes can be used with the move, rotate, and scale tools. And so say for instance, if we selected this vertex here and we're under the move tool, we can move this vertex around. And so we can do this with each individual vertex, or we can select multiple vertexes and do that at the same time. We can also select vertexes and we can rotate them. So if we'd like, we can rotate these just like so, and let's do this at the bottom here. And we can also do things such as scale, so we can scale the vertexes in and out. Now this goes for any of these other pieces of geometry, so we can select the polygons and scale, and we can select the edges, and we can also scale if we like, as well as rotate and move. So these are just different modes in which we can manipulate our geometry here. So that's the first way we can manipulate our geometry. The second way is we can use the different editing tools on this rollout. So I'm going to go to Polygon, and if we scroll down, you can see it says Edit Polygons, and if we do this for edges, we can see we've got Edit Edges, Vertexes, and so on and so forth. So for this demonstration, we're going to be using just the editable polygons, and as we move forward through the videos and look at the different buttons we can use under the different sub-object modes, then we will look at them at that point, instead of sort of making a very long technical demonstration of the different tools here. So if we select a polygon and we scroll down, you can see we have edit polygons, and we're going to be looking primarily at these first 6 options here. The first one is extrude, and if we select this and click on the polygon and move up or down, then we can extrude the polygon up and down. And you can see that when we have a polygon selected, we're going to get this sort of tool here, a sort of different icon that represents that we can extrude. If we have a bevel, then what we can do is we can select polygons and move them up just like an extrude. However, when we let go of the left mouse button, it will actually bevel those polygons inwards or outwards depending on which way we move this mouse. We have bridge, and so the best way to demonstrate what bridge does is make an extrusion here. Now if we select both of these polygons on the left and the right here and choose bridge, then it's just going to bridge those polygons together. We have outline, which is basically just a way for us to control the outline of the polygons. We have an inset, and what this will do is inset the polygons themselves, so we can inset just like this. Now, if you're wondering how I'm making multiple selections here, if I make a selection and hold down the left control key and select more polygons, then I can select multiple polygons at the same time. And so this is a useful tool if we wanted to insert polygons and then extrude them. So you've seen there that if I selected something, if I right click, those options are also available here: extrude, bevel, outline, and insert. And we also have this option that says flip, and what this does is it turns the selected polygons, in this case, it flips them the opposite way around, and that's more for if we are having issues with the normals of the geometry and some other more technical things, and we'll deal with that as we move along. So if we scroll back up and we go to edges, we can see that we have editable edges, so we can select an edge here, for instance, and we can extrude an edge. We can do things such as chamfer, so if we select all these edges on the outside and then choose chamfer, then it's going to chamfer those edges. We can do things like bridge again. We have things like split, so we can split edges, weld, target weld, and so on and so forth. We'll move on to those as we move along, and let's look at we'll look at the vertexes, and again we can do things like extrude. If you need to do let's have extrusion here, we can remove edges, we can chamfer them if we like, and so on and so forth. So you can see that a lot of these tools are pretty common along most of these sub-object modes. However, there are many more underneath here, and as we move forward, we will look at what they do. So let's look at the final way of modifying an object. Now, the final way is using what's known as the modifier panel. So, sorry, not the modifier panel, the modifier list. So, say we had something, let's see, we had something like this, and we want it to be really smooth. Okay, if we come up here where it says modifier list, you can see we have all these different things here, and this list is pretty extensive, and we're not going to go through everything at this point, but however, we can do things such as turbo smooth, and this will make our geometry super smooth, and again this will have more controls to deal with them. Now there is a lot of different modifiers there we can use, and as we get into those as we move forward, we'll be definitely looking at those at that point. However, for now, that is the sort of very basics of modifying geometry. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.